She's got you under her spell. Here's your look at the Diamond Select Premier Collection. This is the Scarlet Witch Resin statue. The Scarlet Witch, Wanda Maximoff, is widely believed to be a mutant, a founding member of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants and later a member of the Avengers. Her hex power manifests as what appears to be magic, but includes energy absorption and projection, time and matter manipulation, teleportation, and the manipulation of probability. At her most powerful, she has warped reality itself. She is thought to be the daughter of Magneto, the mutant terrorist, but recent information has revealed that she was not a mutant at all, and in fact a product of high evolutionaries' experimentations on humankind. The Marvel Premier Collection first began in 2004 and is dedicated to capturing the greatest heroes, heroines, and villains of the Marvel Comics as detailed resin statues. This statue of the Scarlet Witch is limited to only 3,000 pieces and comes packaged with a certificate of authenticity. Let's get this review underway by figuring out how tall Wanda is, or the Scarlet Witch. For that, I'm going to take the tape measure right to what I believe to be the top of her head, and stopping it right there. According to the readout of my trusty tape measure, the Premier Collection of Scarlet Witch stands at 11.4 inches in height. And in centimeters, that works out to be 28.9, almost 29 centimeters tall. Like, if I can, to send out a big thank you to the folks over at Diamond Select who are nice enough to provide the sample that we're going to be having a look at in this review. To come included with the Scarlet Witch, the Premier Collection of Scarlet Witch comes with a certificate of authenticity, indicating that this is an authentic Diamond Select toy. Normally, you would get the numbered out of the sequence of 3,000 released copies. In this case, because it was a provide sample, it's actually an artist proof. So it's not part of the 3,000 initial copies. It's designed by Uriel Caton and sculpted by Alejandro Pereira. It's always nice that you do get these certificate of authenticities. Not only can you prove the fact that these are released in the circulation that they're provided down below, but also when it comes to displaying these, often at times I actually like to put the placard of the certificate standing behind the given statue that's on display. Very carefully picking up the statue. There are some fragile components on this that we'll talk about when we kind of get more extensively looking at this. The first place that we normally seem to start at, and a good place to start with Wanda, is the display base that she's standing atop of. Here we've sort of got some rubble, some fragments of perhaps pavement, roadway, and then you can see that she's standing atop of that. Not only is she standing atop of it, but you can also see that she's got the spiraling effect of her spell, her mutant ability, of course, wrapping its way around her legs. This has been done very expertly done in a translucent pink color. This would be number one, the first thing you'd want to be careful of picking the statue up for yourself. It looks good, but you would imagine like each one of these component pieces, these individual flames and wrappings, because they are made of a more translucent resin, It's something that you definitely want to be careful of, that you don't accidentally break, but I love the effect that it pulls off. Sort of looks like a fiery wrapping of cotton candy, wrapping around, of course, the rubbled debris that she's standing atop of. I'm sure she's caused this to herself. Tipping the statue upside down, once again, we're treated to Diamond Select Toys made in China, and then we've got artist proof out of 3,000 potential copies. That is 3,000 worldwide. You also are given 4 felt feet. So they're not so much felt as they are rubberized feet, but you get 4 of them, and they're placed on the underside of the display base to prevent any scratching on surfaces. I rather quite like the sculpting that they gave Scarlet Witch, giving her, of course, the more traditional comic costume colors and designs. More importantly, she does have the crest crown that goes around her head. I personally like this look. It could also be for the fact that I grew up collecting and reading Vision and Scarlet Witch. It seemed to be a strange title that I collected so many issues of, and yet religiously it seemed it was a series that I followed. It probably was the case that it started in one of those mixed bag comic groups, you know, when you buy a bag or like a wrapping of various comics. Vision and Scarlet Witch seemed to be one that fell into that mix, and maybe I was just hooked after the fact because I always wanted to pick up a new issue of it. So I've always kind of gravitated towards this look of the Scarlet Witch. Traditional and more classic in design. The movie adaptation, of course, the version of Scarlet Witch that we see in films, she doesn't look like this at all. I've always really entertained and thought, well, how cool would it be for maybe 1 or 2 scenes that she actually wore a crown like this headdress that you can see atop of her head here. The face sculpt is rather quite pretty. Again, this is an artist proof, but the copy that you pick up for yourself will be likely the same in design and detailing. Really like the coloring and the shading that they used for her flesh tone. You can see that she's got some really nice reflection happening in her green colored eyes, and it's a nice additional shading right above her eyes with some eyeshadow as well. This one definitely does have a lot going for it. It's not simply just for the fact that she does sport a classic outfit, but she really does have a lot of things popping on her. The bright pink color that they put at the top of her kind of bustier top here, which carries again onto its legs, the legs of Scarlet Witch as well. I really like the shape of this one. If I spin it around very carefully, you can see the detailing done into her hair. Sort of a two-tone effect, utilizing not only the more medium browns, but there's a few little traces you can see there as well of a lighter brown color. It's a very difficult statue to kind of hold in hand. As you will see in a second, there's like there's very little you can actually hold on to. I mean, I'm holding it from the bottom of the base. I'm avoiding at all costs to really touch and move her cape because I know that's going to be a separate piece and potentially something that could break. I want to be careful around her arms, her slender sized arms that they gave her with the extended out. Each one of her hands have each individual finger extended out. So something, again, you want to be very careful of. And really, I would advise this, if you do pick up this piece for yourself, double check it while you're at the store. When I do pick up statues at my local comic book store, I usually ask the gentleman, can I open up the box and just ensure that everything is in case, A-okay before I get it home. The last thing you'd certainly want to do is get into a discussion with the store clerk that it didn't look that way, or that they would say it didn't look that way when you left the store, and then you might have broken it when you got home. So just an FYI, a little bit of information from one collector to another. Always make sure you double check the contents of your statues before you get them home. And then that way they can see firsthand, yes, there is something that's wrong with the statue, and we'll get a replacement, or maybe they might offer it to you at a lesser cost. I don't know. Either way, though, that's certainly not the case here, but it could certainly be the case based on the fact that there are a lot of fragile, thinner pieces. As I said, things like her fingers, because they are individually sculpted, there is certainly some case where you could be, you could have a broken finger, for example. Not you, of course, the Scarlet Witch. This entire review isn't simply going to be a PSI, public service announcement. There is, of course, the idea of looking at the statue itself. And again, I really like this one quite a bit. The sheen that they've added to the red is really quite stunning. It does a great job of breaking up because they've put more a matte color in the pink. And even like the headdress itself doesn't have, it seems, as much the sheen as the gloves. The middle top here, or like the kind of halter, I don't know what, kind of looks like a bathing suit top, but again, this will lead into her leggings in the top of her shirt as well. That's got a nice sheen happening to it. They've put in some panel lining in there as well to break up what would be normally just a flat surface of detailing. I like that they just add these little extra panel lines down the sides. And actually, to be fair, she's got it running down the gloves, the inner sections of the gloves as well, on both of them, in fact, here. Frequently, I'm sure I say this all the time when we look at Diamond Select pieces, but one thing they really do a good job of is giving flow and energy to a statue. Wanda here, the Scarlet Witch, is no exception. I love the fact that they've got her kind of in a spell-casting pose. Let's bring the camera down here so you can get a better look. She is in a spell-casting pose with one finger, one set of fingers extended out, with primarily the pointer finger kind of reaching out to summon it, and then the other arm is just kind of draped off to the side of her body. Speaking of draping, though, I really like the sculpting that they put into the cape itself. It has a flow, but it doesn't simply just drop straight down. As you can see, it kind of flows off to the side. You would almost even imagine the summoning of the spell, the mutant ability, of course, that Wanda does possess, was enough certainly to start swaying and changing the course of the cape. And the cape has what I feel is a natural drape to the cape. I just rhymed. I realized I just rhymed. Some nice airbrushing also done to the back section of the cape. It's not simply just one shade of red. It seems like there's, again, that two-tone effect. What they very nicely have done, if I can just pick up the statue once again very carefully, is the fact that even though, like, her hair has a two-tone effect, and her face, of course, has some much-needed shading that's been incorporated into her flesh tone, if you look at the rest of the body, I think this is where it stays successful as something you could envision, there you go, being pulled from the pages of the comic book. And that's the fact that they didn't add any additional unnecessary, if you ask me, highlights, lowlights, and shading. Because, like, the body is only really using one color, the one color of the red, the one color of the pink, and even like the cape itself doesn't have excessive amounts of additional shading, it does keep the statue feeling very rooted in comic reality. Of course, for the fact of, well, the Scarlet Witch herself is clad in her comic classic costume. That's a whole lot of C's. I think it really adds to the overall appeal of this particular piece. There's something also rewarding about the fact of having this and picking up and feeling some substantial weight, which makes up for, of course, the fact that it's made out of resin. I'm a big advocate when it comes to the gallery statue pieces, because the gallery statue is usually made of PVC plastic. You get the great sculpting and the great form that Diamond Select incorporates into their statues, but they're at an affordable cost. The resin statues, of course, being the material that they've used, sort of increases the price value of these, and it also increases the weight of these as well. There's something kind of satisfying about picking up a resin piece from time to time, because you do have the additional weight that goes along with it. Yes, I am really big into the gallery statues. You probably know by the number of them that I've reviewed on this channel. They still have the form, they still have the energy that Diamond Select normally puts into their pieces at a lighter, more affordable route. It's not to say, though, from time to time, I do get a little excited when the opportunity arises to have a look at the more premier collections and the resin pieces. They don't have the reflection to them that often at times the PVC statues tend to have. They're a little bit more matte and more presented, of course, as a premier, premium piece. It's also nice to be able to pick up statues from time to time and be reminded that they're statues by the fact that they have the additional weight that goes along with them being resin pieces. Of course, with these also being resin, of course, that will also mean that the prices will be a little bit higher up than the gallery statues. But still, if you are a fan of the Scarlet Witch, specifically the comic Scarlet Witch, like I am, you might want to pick this one up and add it to your collection. Boy, she looks stunning. A big thank you to the folks, by the way, at Diamond Select, who are nice enough to provide this sample. Today we were having a look at the Premier Collection Scarlet Witch resin statue. Pick this one up for yourself. Let me know down below in the comments section, or based on this review and this review alone. If you also want to check out some sneak peeks at what's going to be coming up through the pipeline at Diamond Select through your various comic book stores, might I also recommend that you guys check out the YouTube channel for Diamond Select. Again, like, it's a great opportunity to get a sneak peek at some of the stuff that's making its way to comic book stores in the coming weeks, the coming months, perhaps not quite the coming years, but you get the idea. I'm really excited for the Nightfall Bane. I know that's a different comic company altogether. I'm really excited, though, for the Nightfall Bane gallery statue. I think that's going to be a nice piece. Either way, though, weigh in your thoughts down below of the classic costume of Scarlet Witch. I always like reading your comments. And if you are new to this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Periodically swing on over to the homepage and see if there's any videos that you may have missed along the way. We're going to have a whole bunch of stuff heading your way in 2020, so keep your peepers peeled for that. And thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.